your one-stop shop for all news West Asia coming to you live. My name is Esteban Carrillo. I am the news editor for The Cradle, and as usual, I'm joined by my friends and colleagues, content creator and writer for The Cradle, Karim Shami, and content creator and social media manager for The Cradle, Sima Itayim. I hope you guys are doing great given the circumstances. Thank you, everyone who's joining us right now. Just make sure as soon as you arrive, just hit that like button. Well, today, a very symbolic day, a very historic day. The first visit of a Syrian president to the U.S. capital in decades. In decades, I'm not sure how many decades, but I think it's like 40, maybe 4 or 5 decades. Of course, we're talking about our good friend Ahmad al-Shara, formerly known as Abu Mohammed al-Julani, who is set to meet with Donald Trump today, just a couple of days removed after the UN Security Council lifted all sanctions from his past as the founder of Al Qaeda in Syria, as the deputy commander to the founder of ISIS, as a head chopper, a suicide bomber, a terrorist, really, Julani. Now the head of the state of Syria, receiving all of the honors, truly a slap in the face to anyone who fought in the war on terror. Well, you would expect that to be in a minute. We'll see some evidence to the contrary. The United States spent about $4 trillion waging the so-called war on terrorism, causing the deaths of around 5 million people, displacing over 20 million more. 25 years, as many, thousands of US soldiers as well, plus the victims of the attacks, etc. And today you have the founder of Al Qaeda in Syria meeting with the US president. The meeting hasn't happened yet, of course. We will stay, hopefully, if we start to get some images soon, we'll put them on there. But in the meantime, what do you guys make of today? What do you think about Julani? Mr. Julani goes to Washington.
Well, I wanted to talk about, we saw him in New York.
Hmm.
So this is just the sequel to New York. I am no longer really capable of being shocked. This is business as usual, especially considering that he's their man.
Hmm.
And the thing is also that this trip is mainly about a security deal with Israel, the security deal that we've been discussing for a while now, and the lifting of the Caesar sanctions, as you guys know. And of course, unofficially, there is the additional layer of rebranding, and portraying his government as a reliable partner in counterterrorism, not just against Iran and Hezbollah, but against ISIS, funnily enough. So, what better backdrop, right, than a high profile anti ISIS operation announced the very same weekend that he arrives in Washington? Um, I just wanted to bring up that it's not the first time this happens, but just as he was arriving in Washington, the Syrian extremist led government announced a major crackdown on ISIS cells, supposedly. 61 raids, 71 arrests spread across Aleppo, Idlib, Hama, Homs, and the Damascus countryside. And the state media called it part of ongoing national efforts to combat terrorism and protect public safety. I found the timing exquisite, considering that, as you remember, a while back, the US conditions for lifting sanctions was counterterrorism, was kicking Palestinian resistance figures out of Syria, was things like regulating chemical stockpiles, making sure there's not. So, anyway, among all these conditions that Washington had put for Syria is the counterterrorism. And we've had that now ISIS, you could say, fighting ISIS all of a sudden. And there's one problem, though, which is that the raids look fake, as noted by so many people online. And we also have a news story out about it. Plus, coming at a very convenient time. Um, Basically, I mean, the Syrian Interior Ministry says that the raids were based on weeks of intelligence and surveillance, and they claim to have dismantled multiple ISIS networks and arrested dozens of suspects and seized weapons and explosives. But as Karim will probably show us in a moment, these photos and videos released by state media are a bit curious because you see footage of security officers like running around, posing, dramatic action shots, journalists calmly filming these guys as they knock on the doors of the people they want to arrest
How
instead of
polite.
instead of storming in as you would do during as part of a counterterrorism raid. There's even images of um you know like A4 papers, like printed, like freshly printed ISIS logos, like neatly placed on top of explosives or seized weapons, if I'm not mistaken, like almost like props. Like I'm pretty sure that like a guy in ISIS in Syria is not sitting around with like piles of ISIS logos like freshly printed out like on top of their
It's
gear.
hilarious, you know, like
it
the
it's it is, you know, and if you manage to catch the scene of the guy, he's just standing there and he has like, if I'm not mistaken, one hand on his waist, and with the other hand he just bangs on the door, you know, waiting for someone to answer. That was footage broadcast by Al Ikhbariya.
I'm
And we see, you
gonna
know,
I just want to mention something, and I'm gonna go like into a bit of a parenthesis here because all of what
yeah.
you're saying, talking about Sima and this image as well, you know, it's just the same script when in my country, right? When there's elections, when there was the last round of elections, it's right now one of the most dangerous countries on earth. You know, like the homicide rate is completely through the sky high. They will do these raids, right? Like just before the elections, you will see the police going exactly what you described with the journalists, you know, right behind them. They will go in and they will discover, right, these caches of weapons or of drugs. And instead of ISIS flags printed out neatly placed on top of the weapons, you would see the campaign pamphlets of the opposition, of the left wing opposition being placed near the weapons so that, you know, in the people's minds they would be like, oh my god, the left is working with the drug cartels. It's the same script, it's the same, the way they carry it out is exactly the same. They really follow it down to the letter. I just wanted to mention
Yeah.
that because I couldn't get over it
Yeah.
when I saw the images.
No, 100%, and it's a pattern when it comes to Syria, because it's not the first time that Shada's government has used like this fake kind of raid to like polish their image, you know what I mean? It's repeatedly like staged or fabricated ISIS attacks, you know, often right before these kinds of like diplomatic pushes. Um, After claiming to foil an ISIS attack way back in January, an ISIS attack on the Sayyida Zainab shrine in Damascus, and again after the suicide bombing at the Mar Ilyas church, if you remember,
Mhm.
um, it was revealed that actually the General Security Service, loyal to Shara, had itself carried out that church suicide bombing that killed at least 25 worshippers. And of course, then they could blame ISIS and have everyone rally behind them and have the West rally behind them.
It,
And it's just, you know, it's rooted in years of this kind of
of
manipulation. And
disinformation, exactly. It
yeah,
honestly,
and
it's
Israel, CIA, the Kurds,
the
even
Mossad,
helping
yeah.
ISIS in Iraq. You know,
Turkish
covertly
intelligence.
arming, and Turkish intelligence
It's the
shielding.
honestly, it's the Spider-Man meme come to life. You know, they're pointing at
Yeah,
each other. It's
definitely.
just that come to life. Karim, I want to hear from you, and I want your opinion on something that I feel like you know, uh, Julani is raiding
Oh, I
ISIS.
can't hear you. Can you fix it? It's all good.
Can we hear you? Okay, let me ask you the question in the meantime. Just Julani is raiding ISIS, right? A quote unquote raiding. What does these fighters have to say about it, right? Because Julani has already established that the common enemy here is Iran and Hezbollah, right? Israel is not the enemy. This was not so much his position a few years ago, and now he still does have this army of terrorists of ISIS and Al Qaeda surrounding him. What do you think about that?
Um,
He's frozen, yeah?
yeah.
Okay, Esteban, you are frozen. But the funny part is that you mentioned this meme,
Oh,
and
he's back, I think.
Can you hear me? Okay,
yeah, yeah,
I
I
may
can
have
hear
Yeah,
lost
you.
you guys.
you
Yeah, no
Okay.
disappeared for a
problem.
second.
What I wanted to say before, that's why my mic didn't work because I was gathering the media. The funny part is I did this in my spare time, and we didn't talk about it, Esteban, and you mentioned it now.
It's just because it's so obvious. It's so obvious. By the way, just very
Yeah,
quickly, thank you to Clifford Bostria for their super chat. Thank you so much for your generosity.
yeah. So, Esteban, your screen is black, but I think we can hear you. Yeah, I don't know if you can refresh your page. Okay, so Esteban will be back, of course, soon. So regarding Al Junani visit and the raids, I think the people currently that love Julani and unfortunately many Arabs will believe every single thing that the United States and Syria says because they lived it and they died for it and they are trying to die for everything fake that happened. For instance, the same people that said that Bashar al-Assad is like a spy for the United States and Israel and the Israelis are now the people that are like opening the doors for the Israelis, and the people that said that Bashar al-Assad or Assad regime is backed by Iran. Of course, they don't know history because al-Assad was, or his father was, before even the creation of Iran, of modern Iran. So I think these people are happy of what's happening, and they think that Syria will be prosperous, and they think that Syria will be like the Gulf countries or any rich country, because for them the problem was Assad. Same people, or the same thing applies in Lebanon. There's many people that still wants Hezbollah to hand over their weapons, and for them, Lebanon will be prosperous after that. And the same people also are in Yemen and in Libya and many different places in the Arab world. And I think this was accomplished systematically through the years for making many Arabs uneducated and controlling them in mosques and through like fake Islamic. Sheikhs, if we can say them. So I don't think people can now يعني connect the dots, unfortunately, because we've been connecting the dots since years and nobody listened. And look what happened now. So what's happening is that just they are confirming our notes or our things that we used to say here and previously, that Al Qaeda, ISIS, Nusra, and even Trump said it. Yani, Trump said that ISIS was created by the United States under the governance of Obama, and now they are giving him everything. And I never saw a president that is welcomed by all these leaders. Yani, yesterday and the day before, I think he met with like 20 world leaders, and previously
He was
he met
in
also.
Rio at the COP at
Yeah,
the climate.
yeah,
Oh yeah, I was in Brazil. I forgot.
yeah. Yeah, in Brazil, he met like with the 20 leaders, France, Italy, whatever. So they are giving him legitimacy, and now they are saying that they will lift the sanctions. Although for me, the sanctions was lifted the moment he met Trump. I don't think what's happening now is just things on paper. I don't think that it matters, and especially on the UN last week. Everybody agreed except for China. They abstained to lift the sanction of him and his foreign minister, if I'm not mistaken. But to be honest, the most important thing is the dollar and the sanctions that was lifted by Trump. And today and yesterday, we saw many Gulf businessmen, including Haptour, who is very famous. He went to Syria and they wanted to start to build malls and all of these things. Yeah,
Syria is
and
open
we
for
have to wait
business.
and we have to wait and see, of course, what will happen. And I think يعني since 2011 there's many videos that show how Al Julani and his people fake many things, including like they killed the same girl 3 times. You see it in the video, the same boy. You see it, you see him, you see like getting people out of the rubble, and there's nothing done with the house. And we saw many people like reading from the PC, but when you zoom in, you'll see that's a paper on the PC and all these stuff. So what they did yesterday and the day before, faking these videos, is something very normal for them. But still, they don't have like the profession. I don't know. I think the West should send them some directors and some screenwriters because they are very weak. It's so obvious. Yani, imagine this photo that I just uh, showed now. Yani, you can see that it's an afterthought of them just printing an A4 paper, and they didn't print it even full screen. Yani, and just put it over a box, which is, come on, it's so fake, man. It's an
I'm sure
A4, and this is the default printing because I work on this stuff. This is the default printing. They fail to fit the screen. Okay, one, two, 3 times, or you can maybe the one on the bottom left is the same one on the top. We don't know. So imagine ISIS that fought everybody. Imagine ISIS that terrified every single Arab and even people in other countries. Uh, uh, Imagine the same ISIS is the one that we saw in the video. Uh, a guy comes, knock on the door, an ISIS guy opens the door. Oh, you're the Syrians? Okay, I will go with you. Don't touch me. So this is all fake. I don't know, man. It's
this
too
is
much.
actually a very interesting point that you bring, Karim. Was there any resistance? Was there any
Zero
resistance from?
resistance, man.
No, no. But
Just
they're all like on terms with, they're all on the same page. So they may not even be actually taking them. They may let them go. Like they might be like, okay, well we're gonna do it because they've done it before. Like there
yeah,
have been cases where we know that they're familiar with the people, they know who they are.
a-
They come in, they're like, okay, we're gonna take you.
and also they covered
And
all the faces. Yani I think maybe they will go to a small village. Okay, we will gonna film this. Everybody will take a shawarma or whatever. Will top up your phone and let us film this. And they film this. Yani, I'm not
And
yeah,
kidding, by the way. And this happens. I am in Lebanon. Yani here in Lebanon, you can get a vote for a person that
can you
is
mute?
like
Can you
with
mute
us.
the video, Karim?
Yes, it's muted.
It's
It's
not
muted.
muted.
you can still hear it?
There you go. Now it's muted.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah,
So
these are
imagine this guy. Yani,
the very
man, that's
brave
too much.
raids. It's it
Yeah,
is
they
the
are so brave, man.
it's the
Yeah,
Spider-Man
wait for
meme,
the knock on
honestly.
the door. But guys, I wanted to ask you, just like Karim, if you have any idea, like if what would you need those papers for anyway?
Well, like
For ISIS,
Yeah,
yeah, like
what would you use that for?
you can go at night on the balcony and they like trigger themselves. ISIS, oh you ISIS, you
Yeah, no, I mean,
ISIS.
like you said, this is the ISIS who terrified everyone. This is a very professional organization. This is the ISIS who had cinematic quality videos, incredible music, incredibly well produced anthems, as they call them. I mean, I don't know what the papers are for. I just don't get it. Like,
Yeah,
what
and
are they for? What do you
here
use them for? When you
it,
visit an ISIS guy, he just has those lying around.
yeah, it's to know, you know that he's an ISIS guy if he has a printer. It's
yeah.
like,
So this
oh,
is the
you're with us, okay.
scene that Sima is talking about. Now you will see it in a few seconds. Okay,
The banging of the door.
okay.
Propose.
His
Hey, we heard there's some ISIS in here.
come out.
My goodness, my goodness. But no, actually, just to get back on track a bit to Shara's visit,
You know the funny part. Sorry, because
go ahead, go ahead.
oh my god, the only one who's putting like a helmet
He's the
is
Is the
press guy.
journalist?
that journalist. That's insane, man. Okay, continue. Sorry.
I was gonna say just like to bring it back, because this is obviously, as Sima said, part of the framing of Shara's visit or Julani. It's interchangeable, honestly. His visit to the White House and this idea, right? Because Donald Trump said something very interesting last week. He said, one, Israel asked us to remove the sanctions on Syria, which
Hmm.
you're giving the game away there,
And it's the
Donnie.
second time he says it.
Yeah. And then he also said, because we also want Syria to join this anti ISIS coalition, right? So it's interesting because who's in charge right now of the prisons where the ISIS members are held, right? Like the ISIS army in waiting. Is it still the Kurds or have they been handed over to the. My question is, where are these people who are getting arrested going? Are they
هلا
going
no,
to.
nobody knows, Esteban. What happened is that first when Assad disappeared, many people were freed without like even acknowledging why this guy was in the prison, and of course, many of them were Islamists. But the people that were captured by the SDF and by the United States are still in east of Syria under the SDF control. For our viewers, it's we know that Syria is divided, and there's some U.S. bases, and the control is for the Kurdish people there, and they are called SDF, of course, because they are backed by the United States. The D stands for democratic, and
Mhm.
there's thousands of militants and ISIS members, and not only ISIS, Al Qaeda, and
Their
previous
families as well. You have
militants,
many
and
women and
the
children.
families, of course, and there's camps for their families. This part we know that is still in east of Syria. Currently, what the government is doing, nobody knows. Exactly, nobody knows, man.
It's interesting because and I go back and I don't know if anybody if any of us can really answer this question, but what is going to be the reaction from the wider membership of the Syrian army, so called, right, the so-called Syrian army of these jihadists? Are they all going to fall in line behind Shara? I'm pretty sure many of them are still pissed about the lack of reaction to Israel's attacks. I'm pretty sure some of them are like, we still want to wage jihad against the U.S. Like, what are you talking about? Like, is everyone okay? Is everyone falling in line? Last week, there was a new report saying that the United States is actually going to establish a military presence in the outskirts of Damascus in an air base. So,
The government denied this accusation, although It's not that far. Yani. I don't know why people were like shocked. Currently and before and during, sorry, Assad's rule, there were many bases in Syria. The biggest one and the most important one is Al Tanaf base, which is between,
which remains.
uh, yeah, between Jordan, between Jordan and Syria, and nobody talks about it now.
Isn't
يعني
Iraq as well? Isn't the tri-border area?
yeah, it's also near Iraq. So, but mostly it's inside the borders of Syria.
Because
So nobody, yes,
in the I wanted to mention that in the south, you're talking about Al Tanef, which is essentially in that southern tri-border area. Israel has been making daily incursions. Today, they were going into Kunatria, if I'm not mistaken. A few days ago, there were videos of Syrian security forces being detained by Israel, by Israeli troops, like being handcuffed. Syrians in the south are being taken by Israel. I mean, this is the new status quo, essentially, right? And this is what Shara has established, right? Like, I just do as you please. It's the United States, Israel, Turkey, whatever. You guys do whatever you want, and I will simply nod and say yes and get to shake hands with all of the leaders, right? As you said, Karim. And this weekend, the man met with he met with Lula da Silva. There's this horrible picture of the two shaking hand. He met with Pedro Sanchez. He met with Emmanuel Macron. He's just part of the global elite now, right? Like, he's
yeah,
completely being welcome.
and with the Italians and with the Spanish also. Yeah, هلا that's since like 2011, the people that are with the resistance and understands this region well since 2011, we are saying that these people are told from the west to weaken Syria, because Syria is the last Arab country that is standing against Israel and does not accept the policy of Israel, and people used to laugh at us. And now when Syria is gone, if you look at Syria, you will see that Julani now is the president. He's meeting everybody in the West, and this is very important. Maybe people watching us asking why we are like stressing on this, because if the West doesn't like you, or if you're not doing what the West likes, they will not meet you. It's not. It's as simple as that.
No, they'll
Because
sanction you. They'll launch wars
yeah,
against
100%,
you.
or at
They'll
least they will not meet you.
Yeah.
Him meeting everybody means that the West fully accepts Al Julani,
They
and
love it, and not just the West, Karim. Let me
yeah,
correct
and
you there, because
okay,
he was in Moscow just a few weeks ago as well, meeting Putin on Friday at the UN Security Council. All 14 members, I mean, 14 out of 15 members agreed to lift sanctions, all of the sanctions against these terrorists, except for China. And China abstained. They didn't vote against it. They simply abstained. So it's not just, like, this is a monster created by the West, by the Zionists, but he's being accepted by everyone, left to right,
Yeah,
top to bottom.
everyone. You were asking like if you think everyone in ISIS is going to fall into line. I don't believe so. I do believe that there's probably some secret promises being made to these guys. There's probably issues happening. What I did notice is Reuters has been doing a lot of propaganda for whitewashing Julani these days. Even just today, Reuters came out with a report that like ISIS tried to assassinate him twice, and it's also perfect timing with his trip to Washington
His life
because
is
it's
in danger. His life is in
like why
danger.
wasn't this reported last week? Like why is it reporting on the exact day that he's going to meet with Trump? Or I don't believe it. I don't believe there's many things I don't believe Reuters on, but other things that we have to believe them on, I guess. But when it comes to shutout, nah, not really, because there was another one as well about how he was supposedly like criticizing people because their salaries were too high, and oh, have you guys forgotten the
Oh, about the
revolution?
vehicles
And
that like
yeah,
all
and
of the
it's like look at
commanders
his
arrive in
car.
in like high, expensive
A hundred
vehicles.
percent, because it's like, look at his car, look at the watches he wears, and you'll know that he's not complaining about
He wears a
anyone's
Patek
salaries
Philippe
or
that is
anything.
like, more than a hundred
Yeah,
thousand dollars for sure. I mean, like, we've had stories at the Cradle like multiple times. Julani wasn't always a person. It wasn't something we covered constantly, but it was something that every so often would fall on our lap as an interesting story. And the one that always jumped, I remember the most, is the one about the theft of the UN aid, of the UN humanitarian aid, that you must remember when the Bashar al-Assad was still in power in Syria. Throughout the decade of war and sanctions, the United Nations would only ever allow aid to enter via Idlib, where Julani was in control. And then you had all of these reports of how Julani and his thugs would steal the aid, resell it on the black market, and they just buy property in Turkey. So, like it's hilarious, these reports, right, of him saying like, oh, have you forgotten, what we're doing here? Why are you buying these expensive cars? Man, come on, like, you're the same. Like what these people are doing also, the rush of kidnappings in Syria, something that is at all not touched upon, like, completely ignored by mainstream media. The massacres, the killings, as you what you brought up, Sima, the fact that the security services were behind the bombing of a Christian church. These are Shara's people, these are Julani's people, and now he's in the White House, and I know it shouldn't surprise us, and I know, like you said, it doesn't shock us anymore. But they've sent so many people to die in this war against terrorism, and not just their soldiers. I'm talking about the Iraqis and the Afghanis and the Lebanese and the Syrians and etc. etc. For what? Exactly, for what? I mean, it was just to launder money. $4 trillion, just disappeared.
Right.
I just want to comment over something that Seema said. I think يعني your question is that former ISIS members might like take action or whatever against Julani. I think one cleric, one sheikh going to a TV or in a mosque and say like, this is a fatwa, we have to all follow Al Julani, everybody will follow Al Julani. We have to know these people, they are uneducated. They for them Julani is somehow like a prophet. The cleric is like also a prophet. Whatever they say, they will follow. We have to know these people that what they committed before, they stole their um, their own people, they stole their own country, they beheaded small children, they killed old people, they murdered people through the ID. People often not are not talking about this, which is insane. And this also happened in Lebanon, the civil war. If you are in a bus in Syria, and for instance, whatever a Shia or whatever or a Alawi or anybody who's not Sunni is sitting next to you, there is many incidents that occurred in Syria. People with weapons will come inside the bus, show me your ID. If you're not a Sunni, they will grab you and kill you on the street, and they will go. These people committed these crimes, so don't expect anything from them. And these people committed these crimes, and they are, يعني, in their heads, they think that they are going to heaven. And some of them, like Julani, knows that there is no such thing as like good people or bad people. I'm just an asset that if I follow the orders of the West, which are very powerful, they will put me in a good position. And that's exactly what happened with him.
Indeed, indeed. This is he's just I feel like he's like the prefer, like he's the model leader that they want. Not just for West Asia, by the way. I feel like this is just in general he's gonna
No,
become.
they did it before. يعني Sisi is like this. Abdullah is like this. The leader of UAE of Jordan. يعني it's not only him. يعني you know what I mean. هلا now we are focusing in Syria because in recent time we saw many
But
things.
they
Yes,
weren't they weren't Al Qaeda. They weren't like ISIS. They weren't out there like chopping people's heads off and sending people with suicide vests into churches. I mean, I'm not saying they were much better. I'm simply saying there seemed to be a line that now with Julani is just disappeared.
Mm.
yeah, because unfortunately the narrative is being written and done by the West and by the Gulf countries, which and both are okay with Julani.
I want to thank Pittsburgh Dude 87, by the way, for their super chat as well. Thank you so much. He says the threat count on Julani sheets might be even higher than his body count. I actually doubt that one. I feel like it's the other way around.
Karim, before we move on from Syria, could you show us the basketball video? Because there's a new basketball video. This is the second basketball video, and of course it shows
He's just so
Ahmad al-Shara, Abu Muhammad al-Julani, playing basketball with U.S. CENTCOM officials, if I'm not
he's the
mistaken.
CENTCOM chief. He's the head of
Oh yeah,
CENTCOM.
the CENTCOM chief as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
his name? Brad Cooper.
I think so.
And of course, the foreign minister, Asad al-Shaibani. I just thought that I would show you guys another PR move that
They're
has been
just
timed
they're just like you and me. They're just regular people.
with
They're
his
just regular
trip to
people.
Washington, which, knowing our
Look,
luck,
after the news that leaked, I think Al Sharia asked the United States to put a base inside Damascus, and they said no. And after this video, you'll see it's the opposite.
I want to ask you something too. I saw some reports earlier. I couldn't really verify them that there might have been some clashes on the Lebanese border between the
hmm,
Julani's fighters and the Lebanese army.
Yeah, and the Lebanese media they said that they saw some insurgents from Syria to Lebanon. Some armed people came through the borders to Lebanon, and they are working on this. Of course, we will never know about this because now we have a fully aligned Western government with a fully aligned Syrian Western government. So I don't know what they are doing,
just
to
to
be
be
honest.
clear, the exchange of fire that happened today was actually not with the Lebanese army, Esteban. It was between HTS and ISIS. That's what was reported.
Oh,
If so, it also falls in line with the PR campaign that we are discussing. But I mean, it was opposite Lebanon's Arsal, and apparently the army like reinforced its positions and deployed aircraft there just to prevent any infiltration. But so it was very close to Lebanon, and it was clashes between Shada''s HTS and ISIS, which again, the Spider-Man
it's just
meme. I mean,
exactly. It's like
yeah, I
Pepsi
mean,
versus
if the,
Diet
I know
Pepsi.
there, it's not far-fetched that there would be clashes because a lot of people are going to be disagreeing for many different reasons. But I mean, yeah, so that was what happened. We don't know what that could, develop into at
Yeah,
any point.
and
But
it's
yeah, it
the reason I
hasn't
bring it up, and I
escalated
know
yet.
there's other topics that we want to move on to, but I do want to
Definitely.
get mention Lebanon very quickly because this morning there was a really truly disgusting story that about Israel demanding that the Lebanese army conduct house-to-house searches in the
Yeah,
south. You
civilian
know,
homes. Yeah.
civilian homes exactly. So the reason I bring up the alleged clashes in the border is just to kind of paint a picture of how enclosed Lebanon is, and how this continues, well, the pressure continues to build. And now we just keep hearing that the war is going to be reignited over the weekend. I think Ynet was reporting that the army is looking to uh, it's looking to draft more soldiers. They need 12,000 soldiers to go to war to Hezbollah. That's what they are saying. So it's apparent that the moment the shit hits the fan, they not only have their forces in the south, they have this army of what was it? Diversity friendly jihadis in Syria.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The no, I just wanted to. Never mind. Go ahead. Go ahead, Karim.
yeah. Today, the Americans, just before we sat down, there's leaks from the Lebanese media that the Americans gave Lebanon 60 days to do everything that Israel wants, and if it's not done, then Israel will like do whatever it wants to
Freedom of
Lebanon.
action.
Yeah, so that's as simple as that. And there's leaks that said that the Lebanese government said that 60 days is not enough, and the American delegation answered that we gave you 40 years. So so
60
that's
days.
the
So until the new year, essentially,
yeah.
give
The
or take.
Americans gave 60 days. The Lebanese said it's not enough. The Americans replied, "We gave you 40 years for this." Yani,
Yeah.
there should not be Hezbollah since 40 years. And today they made many bombings in South Lebanon and Bekaa. I will put some on the
Yeah, the
uh,
on the
attacks on
screen.
Lebanon have been nonstop, especially the drone strikes. And today, warplanes carried out continuous strikes in the south. And
just
this is all leading up to, something or the other, and we're not sure what yet. And I think I
I
mentioned
They
mean,
last
want to,
time.
yeah, they want to like they don't want Lebanon. And
Yes,
now
I
I
know.
think the image
Yeah.
is more clear if you read the news and the hype. I think now for Trump and for the West and for the Israelis and even for the Syrians, now I believe what we've been talking about like 2 3 months ago. I think they will do to Lebanon as what they did to Syria, but in Lebanon is very small. Syria can take the north, and Israel will take the south, and
Hmm.
they will make a small mini Christian Lebanon, and that's it. And whoever dies dies.
Yeah, when I said I wasn't sure, I meant I don't know if it will look like continued daily attacks or a new campaign. There was some reports, maybe even that there are tanks being sent to the north. We don't know how much, whether they do a renewed campaign or they continue like this. Both ways, I think they have the same goal.
I
And
don't
it's
think
about
they
whether
will.
they
I don't think
decide.
they will continue like this. No,
You think they're going to
You think it will
intensify for sure?
escalate?
they will escalate.
Hmm.
Yeah, they will escalate. يعني they want. They don't want Hezbollah or they don't want any Saud in Lebanon against Israel. They either kill it or the government will kill it. What they are want to do it now, or to establish now through the Americans, they both want to work together. That's why they are stressing to meet the Lebanese. And one of the problems, according to Israel, is that there's no officials from Lebanon meeting Israel, and they are like, "Why is that?" You know what I mean? They want officials to sit down with Lebanese. Okay, we will
To
invade the
normalize.
south. You will. I don't think they care about normalization. It's purely
I
about
mean,
security.
having direct.
That's my opinion. Yeah.
My point is having direct talks with the enemy. You're normalizing. You're recognizing their.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, they want this recognition maybe, but I don't think
Mhm.
that that's their aim because uh, there's
Their aim is
many
Hezbollah's
leaks.
weapons. Their aim is it's Hezbollah's weapons, which it's the same thing as in Gaza. I feel like the blueprint for anything that they're gonna do moving forward is right there. Is in Gaza. Look
Yeah,
at what's happening now.
we have a very stupid government in Lebanon that emboldened Israel to ask even for light weapons to be handed over or destroyed. So that's what's happening in Lebanon. So the Lebanese government wanted to take all the weapons of Hezbollah. If you got a small child in Lebanon, whether if he's with Hezbollah or without a or not with Hezbollah, he will tell you this is impossible. How you as a government will take this and talk to the world and say to talk to the Americans and to the Israelis and whatever to the Gulf countries that we will do that. So now the government put itself in a situation where the West and the Americans that came, they said, "Oh, you failed. We will do it for you." What happened is that the government said, "No, give us 60 days." The government told the delegation, the American delegation, give us 60 days to take out Hezbollah weapons, and they are still. I don't know what they are talking about.
The government asked for the 60 days. Honestly, the Lebanese government feels like
Yeah, this is what I. Yeah, what I'm talking, saying is from OTV, which
Mhm.
is a Lebanese news station, and they have, يعني, and it's owned by people that are inside the government. So usually when they say such things, they are real.
No, I feel
I
like
just
the Lebanese government is always looking to either protect, the summer season and the Christmas season, which is kind of like, what makes the economy turn.
yeah.
What is this 60 days? It's ridiculous. They cannot achieve it in 60 days, and they know it.
No, everyone knows that.
Yeah.
Listen, I think we need to move on to Gaza, but before
Let's do
someone,
it.
Kate in the comments is asking, Karim, didn't the Lebanon president order the Lebanese army to defend South Lebanon? What he ordered was for incursions on the ground to be confronted, and we all know the army is not well equipped for that. So no, not defend South Lebanon in general. That doesn't mean that if Israel bombs South Lebanon, the army will hit Israel back. It was just an order that came after that a municipal employee was executed on the ground in Blida. In the south, and the president proceeded to order the army to confront incursions if need be. And then there was an incident afterwards where a place that was about to be bombed, the army was like, "We're not going to leave," and they vowed to stay, and they did stay. So this order doesn't amount to much, even if there are good intentions there, because the army is not well equipped, and it's if they try to confront the incursion, that would be good. I'm sure there would be some martyrs, but yes, it's not about defending South Lebanon in general, as in the army now has the jurisdiction to attack Israel in defense of South
No, and I
Lebanon,
want to
just to be
mention
clear.
something. Like when Aoun gives these orders, the response by commentators, by the anti-resistance commentators, is just like, "How can you put the Lebanese army, or soldiers' lives at risk?"
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Then what are the soldiers there for? Well, what is the Lebanese army actually there for? What purpose do they serve if they cannot defend their own homeland? Are they just there to incite civil war? Are they just there to shoot other Lebanese? Because that feels
Mhm.
to be the narrative, right? Like, yeah, we're gonna disarm Hezbollah in 60 days. How? You cannot even
Yeah.
defend your outpost in the south.
Right.
So
Yeah, this
go
is
ahead, Karim.
yeah, no, nothing. This is the complicated situation in Lebanon. Yani. The point is the people that are in power and the people that are in the government, they are not. They don't know the meaning of to be a patriot or the meaning of a country. These people are in power because they fought in the civil war, and the people that are still alive from the civil war of Lebanon, depending on your like شو دينه مذهبه sect,
Yeah, you're
depending on your sect. You're now a leader if you have some money, if you stole money, or if a Gulf country or France gave you money. Now you have a party and you go to the parliament, and that's it. As
right.
simple as that. These people are
Even
in
the
power
independence.
because, yeah, there's no independence. That depend. Okay, in Lebanon, independence means NGO, United States and Germany and France,
It means for
and
sale, right? It means
yeah,
for sale.
because one of the dependent people that were elected, he also stressed on like the United States to come and save Lebanon from Hezbollah. You can't be a patriot and ask a foreign country to come free your country. As
especially
simple as that. That's
especially
يعني historically this is will never happen.
especially countries that have historically left a path of death and destruction in their wake.
Yeah,
And
for them they don't see it like this. I don't see how they look at Iraq and see Iraq like very prosperous, or Libya, or any
or
other
Libya
country
or
that they
Syria,
invaded,
Syria
or even
under.
the West Bank, the people that want like peace with Israel, and they only blame Hamas. Go see the West Bank. There's like يعني, what
Did
happened
you
in the West
know?
Bank is insane.
Did you know that that Haiti has been under U.S. intervention for about a century now? Look at how they are
Century.
doing.
Wow.
Look at how well they are doing. Let's move on. Let's move on because
Yeah.
there's so many
Yeah.
other topics, and I know we want to
Yeah, I
talk
think
about Gaza in
we really
particular.
need to. Yeah.
There's some interesting developments in Gaza, in particular, to what pertains what is being referred to as the Rafah tunnel crisis. And well, just to paint the picture, and I'm not going to extend myself too much here. The situation in Gaza almost just similarly catastrophic as it was when the bombs were falling. You know, a ceasefire that doesn't exist, humanitarian aid that barely enters the strip. Truly, truly, the only thing that has changed has been the method and the intensity because this
Yeah.
genocide is still ongoing. So, Sima, why don't you
Yeah.
tell us exactly what this tunnel crisis is
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should focus a bit on the political developments because what's happening on the ground is, as you mentioned, ongoing violations. Just today, actually, they murdered a child and called him a terrorist. So the killings haven't stopped. They have slowed, but they haven't stopped. The aid isn't coming in properly. So all of that we can discuss at length. But the point is now what you referred to as the Rafah tunnel crisis, as Israel and the West refer to it in their media. And we had some questions in the comment about what happened to these 200 resistance fighters besieged in the Rafah tunnels. So basically, the Rafah tunnel crisis refers to these 200 fighters who are behind the yellow line in Rafah, which is controlled by Israel at the moment, as we've
Qassam fighters,
discussed.
right?
Yes, mainly Qassam. There could be Quds Brigades fighters with them, but they are mainly being referred to as Qassam Brigades fighters. And actually, Turkey, Egypt, and Qatar are all trying very hard to work out a deal to have these guys be able to cross over and come into Hamas controlled territory. And this links to actually the latest handover that took place of the lieutenant, the Israeli lieutenant, the remains of the Israeli lieutenant Hadar Goldin, who had been in Gaza, sorry, since 2014. I just want quickly to, before I tie this back to the Rafah tunnel crisis,
Mhm.
to tell you who he is. He was from the Givati brigade and he went missing during Israel's deadly war on Gaza in 2014, which they referred to as Operation Protective Edge. Now, Israel still claims that Hamas killed him, but it's very likely, due to testimonies and reports, that he was killed in Israel's Hannibal directive, because after he was taken, Israel immediately invoked Hannibal Directive and literally massacred up to 200 Palestinians, bombarding the area that Hadar Golden was last seen in. And this became known as Black Friday at the time. So that was collective punishment for Golden's capture. And Israel maintains that Hamas killed him, as I mentioned, but a lot has emerged about that. So Hadar Golden has been in Gaza since 2014. And this is a high highly valuable captive for Israel, if I may say so. And one important point is actually Israel throughout its invasion in Gaza these past years has been looking for him and failed to find him. I thought I would make that clear because at each point in time, not more than 4 or 5 people at Hamas knew where he was. So what's happening now is it seems that there's Turkish, Qatari, and Egyptian mediation, especially Turkish, that we have in exchange for Hadar Golden, these 200 resistance fighters are allowed to cross back over into Hamas controlled territory in Gaza. So the US has been pressuring Israel to show flexibility regarding these fighters in Rafah. Kushner was there today sitting with Netanyahu. They are there for many reasons, but one of them also being this Rafah tunnel crisis, as they refer to it. And just yesterday, Hamas's Qassam brigades put out a statement saying that it's Israel who bears responsibility for these clashes, for the clashes with these fighters in Rafah, because they are defending themselves inside an area under the occupation's control. So again, I don't know if you recall last time I was saying that I don't think this is a false flag. Well, there you have it. You have the Qassam brigades indirectly admitting that these are their fighters who attacked and killed the Israeli soldiers in Rafah. But this
A couple
cannot
of
be
weeks ago.
exploited as a pretext to say to attack Gaza and say that the agreement was violated when these fighters are besieged and are not even in contact with the main leadership. So, for anyone who is going on and on about false flags, here's your answer. It was not false flags. And Qassam brigades have put the responsibility on Israel, and they placed the mediators on notice, saying this is on you to find solutions. So we only have a couple more captives left, and it is only after this whole thing is resolved, Rafah tunnel crisis and the remaining captives that need to be handed over, including also the bodies of Palestinians that Israel has been handing over. They handed over another 15 today. Only after that could we begin to talk about the second phase of negotiations for Trump's peace plan. A senior Hamas official, Ali Baraki, said yesterday that we won't reach the second phase until the crossings are opened and the terms of the first phase are implemented, which they haven't been yet. There have also been 8 Palestinian figures, including one woman, that have been agreed upon to lead the committee that will be in charge of Gaza, chaired by a man called Mr. Amjad Al Shawa, who I think we can talk about him in another episode because I don't want to waste too much time. But he's not affiliated with anybody and he's been in Gaza for a long time. And so those are basically the developments. We don't know what will happen with the whole disarming Hamas. As you guys know, we have this board of peace and this ISF force in the making, but we don't have anyone who's signed on board for that. The UA said today, the
The
advisor,
UAE.
yeah, the advisor to the UAE president said that it's unlikely because they don't want to be a part of it because it's not peacekeeping, it's enforcing, right?
Yeah.
So it's like you have to fight Hamas basically. It's not peacekeeping.
It seems
And
everyone's saying no. Like the only people who are apparently preparing to send troops are the Turks. Is Turkey, and Israel doesn't want Turkish troops in Gaza.
Right. No, yeah. So Israel's refusing Turkey. Obviously, Qatar has no place. I don't know. I don't think Egypt is accepting. The names floated around again were like Indonesia, Pakistan, Azerbaijan, but it's not even confirmed. Again, this is an enforcement force. What does this mean? This is basically occupation, and they are
Yes,
mandated to literally
colonization.
fight resistance groups.
It's
So,
interesting.
yeah.
It's interesting the UAE's position saying they don't want to send troops because when they mean troops, who do they mean? Like, do they mean the Rapid Support Forces? Do they mean the Al Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula? Because I sure as hell don't think they mean the Emirati army, which I also question who is the Emirati army, who makes up the army of the UAE. They are, if anything, the hub of mercenaries. Like they've said, they are the ones who are working with Eric Prince in Haiti, second mention of Haiti in this episode. They are the ones, supporting the RSF. They are the ones, well, backing also well, in any case. So, when they say we're not going to send troops, I do ask the question, like, well, what troops are you talking about? Because you're probably okay with sending mercenaries. I mean, that's what you've been building your empire on.
That's exactly why they're not willing to send troops because they're not used to sending troops anywhere. They're just used to paying mercenaries and
Yeah.
giving money to projects and
We
yeah,
have we have another
dismantling
super chat.
countries.
We have another super chat from Jolly Lollipop. What a great name. They say Trump was a draft dodger and cheats at golf. He cheated on his ASTs to get into UPenn, according to his niece. However, he's as bad as Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. This is the question I posed to Sima and Karim. Well, I guess I want to answer the question.
I
I don't
didn't
know if you guys
understand
want
the
to answer.
question. I'm sorry. I didn't cat. I wasn't.
You know that I guess the question is, that Trump is just like a horrible person, and he's supposed to be as bad as Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Yes, yes, he is. I know
Oh
you didn't
yeah, I
ask
mean
for
they're
my
all
No,
answer,
terrible.
but yes.
I think he's worse. I don't. I think Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would. They are better than him 100%.
In any case, thank you so much for your super chat, Jolly Lollipop.
I
Make it.
think if Biden remained or Kamala Harris, I don't think they would have taken the decision to bomb Iran, for instance, or I don't think they would have like supported Netanyahu that much. Although, of course, they supported Israel and they can't even. Yani, I think even if the a president of the United States asked the army not to support Israel, the American army, they would tell him, no, go off yourself, we will support Israel. But I don't think,
I think they would have
uh,
supported Netanyahu. What I don't think they would have
yeah,
done is said the called on the Israeli courts to drop all charges against Netanyahu, because that's a Trump move, through and through.
yeah, but I think the decision to bomb Iran is solely Trump. I don't think it's like Biden would do it. And of course, we should not forget the worst thing that's happening in the region and will happen eventually, unfortunately, is the Abraham Accord.
Mhm.
The Abraham Accord is a project that was done by Trump and his administration in his first term, and his second term he wants to enforce it. Biden doesn't have this. Enforcing Abraham Accord is very dangerous in our country. They will try to enforce it in Lebanon, in Syria also of course, and in other countries, including I think Sultanate Oman, Kuwait, eventually, and Saudi Arabia, and every single Arab country will be enforced to normalize with Israel.
But let's go back to Gaza. Let's go back to Gaza because I think there's still a couple of topics we can talk about. And in particular, is this report from, I think it's the Washington Post, that says that now the United States is the one leading the distribution of aid in Gaza, which, again, completely under delivered. Last I checked, it was still around 15% of what was actually agreed upon in the ceasefire. But it seems the United States is now in control of not just the aid deliveries, but also the command center at Kiryat Gat. Israel has supposedly been relegated to a secondary position. And there was a poll a few days ago that said that Israelis in general agree that, well, the situation in Gaza is no longer controlled by Israel, but is controlled by the United States. What do you guys make of this? And what do you think it means in general?
Just a relatively new update. So, the media office, the Gaza government media office, said the other day that only 4,453 trucks out of 15,000 that were supposed to enter since the start of the ceasefire um, amounts to basically a rate not exceeding 28%. So, will that change when the when the U.S. I mean, the U.S. is now in charge apparently, right? And you're saying Israel has this secondary role now, according to this report. I mean, I just want to make it clear that, in my opinion, I think that the US being in charge of aid is normal, considering the US is in charge of everything in Gaza now. Why wouldn't they be in charge of the aid? I mean, we saw them with the GHF, we saw them with the aid pier. Now they have the Kiryat Gat Coordination Center. They want this deal to hold. And of course, in their framework, Israel can violate whenever it wants. So it's not a matter of, oh, we don't want
Yeah.
Palestinians being killed, but we want the deal to hold. So I don't know how them being in charge of aid changes things, especially after seeing the aid pier and the GHF. But what I do know from the report is that, according to informed sources, they're saying that the first weeks of operations of these, of US being the overseer of these aid deliveries, have been chaotic and indecisive. So that's off to a good start, I guess, no?
To say the least. To say the
So
least.
Israel remains part of the conversation, but overall decisions will be made by the new center. So this
But
center, I mean,
as you said, Sima, Israel has had the green light of the U.S. since the start of this genocide. And when they violate the ceasefire, you have both Marco Rubio and Donald Trump saying almost in unison, "We don't consider these violations of a ceasefire." You have Trump threatening to get violent to disarm Hamas. You have, what you said, that they were behind the GHF. I mean, the Delta Force was in Israel from the first weeks of the genocide. You know, when Joe Biden arrived, remember that picture
Hmm.
of him shaking hand with a Delta Force operatives. You have I forget who it was. I think it was Tucker Carlson who revealed that in the Pentagon, Israeli officials were like, giving orders to U.S.
Mm.
officials. So I have to agree with you. It's like it makes for a good headline, but in reality, does it mean anything? What do you think, Karim?
Allah, I don't think, as you said, I don't think it means anything. The foreign policy of the United States in our region is fully dictated by Israel. What is good for Israel is good for the United States. That's how they play their foreign policy in our region. Unfortunately, I think maybe this happened, and the aid is now and that by يعني between the hands of the United States, maybe because there's like maybe Muslim countries or Muslim individuals that don't want to send the aid to Israel. They send it through the United States. I think it's
Mm.
simpler that we think,
Yeah.
because there is no difference between the two. Yeah, and for instance, if I don't know, a country wants to send whatever, it's easier for them to like talk to the United States more than talking with Israel. And I wanted to comment over just a few minutes
Go ahead.
ago when you were talking about who will put the boots on the ground in Gaza. I think eventually what will happen is only Egypt. I don't think any other country will like
For boots on the
send.
ground, you mean?
Yeah, but they want like a foreign army, foreign Arab army. I don't think any army is capable, but Egypt, because Egypt they have good relations with Hamas and with Israel at the same time, and any other country that will enter Gaza will put itself and its soldiers in danger, not from Hamas or from any particular thing, but because everything will be new to them, and they don't have relations with Hamas, especially, for instance, I don't know, Kuwait or UAE or whatever. I imagine you're a Hamas fighter or whatever, or you're like with the resistance, and you see a UAE guy inside your country. Maybe dangerous thing will happen.
I mean, for
Um,
sure, especially given
someone
the
was
fact.
asking.
Go ahead, go ahead.
Sorry,
Yes, Sima.
go ahead. No, no, sorry, sorry, Esteban.
I
Didn't mean to.
finished. What's the question?
Esteban, you were saying something,
No,
especially
never mind.
considering the
Let's
fact.
hear the question. It's fine.
Oh,
I lost my
Oh
train
no,
of thought.
someone was asking about UNRWA and where is UNRWA in all this, and what is UNRWA's role, and what is Egypt and Jordan's role. I mean, Egypt is mediating. Jordan has no role when it comes to Gaza, as far as
UN
I
has
can
no
see,
role
no role at
in
all.
war. 100% no role.
And
Zero.
right, and so 2 weeks ago, the ICJ called on Israel and essentially the U.S. to let UNRWA distribute aid in Gaza. But no, Marco Rubio just 2 weeks ago said that UNRWA will play no role in the aid deliveries in Gaza. So that's your answer. There is no substitute to UNRWA. There is now the U.S. So
That's the substitute.
yeah, I mean, if not the GHF, then something else. I don't know why it's deliberate not letting the aid in. I mean, it's deliberate. It's not like, oh, we're not being able to, like, logistically. It's just deliberate. So what more is there to say about that except just continuing to raise awareness about it? It's not like it's because they're not being able to. It's not like they're trying.
Not only the
It's
aid,
still
also
there's still a blockade. Yeah, exactly.
there is
Everything,
still
equipment,
s-
cooking gas, everything.
there's still 16,000 people that are in need for medication and for like quick
Right.
surgeries, and they are still inside Gaza. Yani, these people possess no threat. If there's a child or a woman that needs an operation or a specific medication, and you're not letting them go out or receive this medication, so you're making the whole Gazans suffer and the Palestinians to suffer. There's no other reason for that. That's pure
Mm-hmm.
hatred and part of genocide. There is no other thing for that. And if you have
Mm.
16,000 people that are suffering and need like medical care, and around 8 or 9,000 of them are children and women, what's the reason for you not allowing Egyptian doctors or sending to enter Gaza, or sending them through cars or ambulances from Gaza to Egypt? They need like 10 minutes and they will be inside Egypt.
Right. Again, Kate is asking about if 200 fighters are trapped in a tunnel, does it mean most tunnels are destroyed? Is that the reason why they are not able to find a way out?
I don't
No, they're
think so.
besieged because there are Israeli troops and Israeli backed gangs above the ground, and not all tunnels in Gaza are connected. So, in fact, no, over 50% of tunnels, according to Israelis, are still intact. So the issue isn't really that tunnels have been destroyed, it's that they can't come out because they are quite literally um, besieged and cannot cross the yellow line via underground. That's what my answer
It's
would be to
a
that.
impossible situation in any case, impossible. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to discuss. I have a message here from Charmin, who will be back on Thursday, by the way. She says to remind everyone who's watching that we're going to be taking questions from our Patreons. So make sure to check out our Patreon page, become a member, help the Cradle continue to do its work. And we're going to answer some of them in a special Patreon only Q&A on Thursday. This is from Charmin Narwani, who will be joining us on Thursday. Actually, what I wanted to say was that the Shara visit has begun. There's videos of him
Ooh.
arriving at the White House. He is there. He's meeting with Donald Trump. We shall see what happens. We shall see what comes after that. In a few days, Mohammed bin Salman is also due at the White House. I do not think these two visits are, coincidental. The dates, one is for sure leading to the next. So we'll see what happens then. Do you guys have anything else to add?
No, I just think it's always our luck that these things happen like when our episode ends.
I know, and even like if they didn't, because like the meeting is gonna take some time, but I'm sure we're gonna get some very interesting quotes, and we'll make sure to bring them to you here. Thank you to everyone who joined. Make sure to hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe. To leave a comment at the end, a little comment under the video always helps. Always helps to get more views. Check out our memberships here on YouTube, and more importantly, check out our Patreon, where you can become a direct supporter of the Cradle, and also send us some questions, and we'll answer them on Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us, and same to you, Karim and Sima. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you.